Mr. Ambassador, welcome to Ras Al Khaimah. Thank you very much for your time today. Today is the first of a two-day trip to Ras Al Khaimah. If you could please let us know what was the insight, what's the reason for the purpose of this visit? What do you hope to achieve in these 2 days?
Well, thank you very much. A real pleasure to be here with you and here in the Emirate. This is probably my 10th or 15th visit to Ras Al Khaimah since I was first posted here in Dubai more than a decade ago. And so I've been very clear to colleagues that this was a place I needed to come to rekindle old friendships and have a look at what has been going on, having heard so much about what Sheikh Saud was putting in place and was hoping to accomplish.
And I know it has been some time since you were last here. First time meeting the ruler in over a decade. You had a meeting with His Highness Sheikh Saud bin Sagar Al Qasimi this morning. How did that go? What was the discussion points, and what was your overall feeling of the meeting that took place this morning?
Well, as I guess it's implicit, I have met him many times in the past. It was great to see him again, to see that his bold vision for the future, but rooted in a strong sense of the past and history, is still in place and is really driving the developments that he is looking for. And his focus was clearly on the well-being of people, the creation of wealth, and a strong distribution of prosperity across the Emirate. That was very inspiring, and I was very pleased to rekindle an old friendship.
And in addition, obviously, beyond that meeting, you had the opportunity to have lunch at the Waldorf Astoria Ras Al Khaimah, where you met some key decision makers in the Emirate. Describe that experience, and is there anything fruitful to come from those discussions today?
Well, what was very inspiring was to see that combined with the vision and the leadership of the ruler is a very, very strong executive team and business community that is ambitious and focused on quality and execution. So that was really inspiring and very, very interesting to see. I had seen it before, it's good to see it continued. In terms of what comes of it, I think that it's a bit premature since I've really only been in the Emirate for about 6 hours or so. But I think that there are plenty of areas for enhanced cooperation and collaboration.
And what was your impression of Ras Al Khaimah? You've been here many years ago. First impressions of the development that's taken place here in the time since you last visited?
Well, it's very impressive. When I departed UAE for my next assignment, the Waldorf didn't exist. Many of the developments that are now well established and operating were either holes in the ground or really just dreams on paper. So it was fantastic to see all of this, and also to hear that occupancy rates are very high, that projects are working, that there are entrepreneurs who are registering with Rakaz, so that the machine is working for the benefit of the people, and that's really quite positive.
Yeah. And you touched upon the business side of things. We do have, under Rakaz alone, almost 500 companies that are owned by Canadians, which factors into a greater ecosystem of companies in Ras Al Khaimah. What areas is Canada, what sectors is Canada interested in? And what do you think the advantages would be for Canadian companies that are wishing to set up here in Ras Al Khaimah?
I think that, first off, I always like to hear what people need as opposed to what we want to sell to them. So I would be cautious. My colleagues have been coming to Ras Al Khaimah very regularly and have a strong sense of the ambitions and the gaps and where people would like to find partners. So I think in particular, given the ambitions of the ruler and where we are in the year of sustainability, running up to COP28, the whole clean tech area, whether that be energy efficiency or remediation or areas for low carbon emissions, that's a clear area of common interest and activity, and that's certainly an area that I'd like to continue to do more work in.
Mr. Consul General, thank you very much for your time. We know that you've been here since 2019. You've served some time in the position. during your time as Consul General of Dubai in the Northern Emirates, can you please tell us how how that partnership between Canada and Dubai and the Northern Emirates has developed in your time here in position, and specifically referring to Ras Al Khaimah?
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, as I get ready to depart from my position as Consul General in Dubai and the Northern Emirates, I really look back fondly to the experience I've had, and so that's why I wanted to come back here to see the many friends I've made throughout the years. You know, that period, 2019 to today, we went through the pandemic. And the pandemic was a test of our international relationships. It's where we learned to collaborate and to rely on each other and whatnot. One of the greatest strengths that we have when we think about Canada and the UAE is the Canadians who are here, the Canadians who are in the UAE. And certainly that's at the core of that relationship. It's the individuals. Then layer on top of that, I think the business relationships that have continued to grow. We've had new Canadian investment in Ras Al Khaimah, and we've grown those business connections. And then there's the whole cultural element, and I have to commend Ras Al Khaimah for continuing to be visible and to be taking initiatives, art festivals and so on that have continued. And for me, the one thing I want to note, the one that's very important is the Terry Fox Run. So the Terry Fox Run is an annual event. It's almost 15 years. It's the longest standing Terry Fox Run in the UAE, and that's as Canadian as it gets. And to come and celebrate that here throughout the years before and after the pandemic has been a sign of that strong relationship between Ras Al Khaimah and Canada.
You touched upon it a bit there, but you know, on a personal level, what's been your experience of Ras Al Khaimah? I know you mentioned that you've even visited this building before. I'm presuming you've been here on numerous occasions. You know, what is your feeling about the Emirate, how it's developed in your time in the UAE?
Well, I think the Emirate of Ras Al Khaimah has done very well to adapt and flourish despite the pandemic, and that this welcoming atmosphere, this idea of constant evolution and focus on economic development has really been set up in a way that the Emirate can continue to grow. And I want to salute the leadership of His Highness Sheikh Saud for getting us there, getting us to this point where you really feel that something is happening in Ras Al Khaimah at the moment. There's a transformation. A transformation is based on really being welcoming to the world, being a land of opportunity, and a place that people want to go to, you know, for tourism, but also for business and obviously to live. So that's been fantastic. And I myself, I've made Ras Al Khaimah one of my favorite vacation destinations with my family throughout our time in the UAE.
And lastly, you know, you touched upon the Canadian businesses that were set up here. I mean, we checked recently, there's more than 500 businesses Canadian, owned by Canadians within RACES, the economic zone alone, which factors into their ecosystem of over 15,000 businesses. So, out of interest, I mean, what is the areas that Canada is interested to? What sectors is Canada involved in? And you know, what you think would be an interesting mix for companies to come here from Canada to set up in Ras Al Khaimah?
So, you know, Canada is in the middle of a transformation. We're going through an energy transition and electrification of our economy as we address the climate crisis. And this is a priority that we share with the United Arab Emirates. And just talking to Ras Al Khaimah municipality earlier today, and hearing about the efforts that have been implemented here to focus on energy efficiency and really the greening of the economy, I think that this is the area that offers the most opportunity. So sustainability, this is a year of sustainability in the UAE. This is the year of COP28. And this is the year where Canada and the UAE and Ras Al Khaimah will have a chance to work together closely to make a difference, to move our economies on the path to energy transition.